Over the next few months, this field is going to be turned into an absolute haven for wildlife. Let's take a look. Well, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Wildflowers Garden. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining why I'm taking this field out of the English landscape with its traditional management methods and turning it into a haven for wildlife. So where am I and what am I doing? Well, I'm in Lancashire, a beautiful county, and we're not far from the west coast and certainly not that far from the Lake District to the north. And it's a really nice kind of melting pot of habitats. We've got moorland, we've got forest, we've got low-lying grassland, we've got the coast, and we've got a really good opportunity here to create something rather special. So with this field, there are a few birds in particular we're looking to try and bring back into the landscape. Now, it's not that big a field, it's only a couple of acres, but hopefully by the way we are going to manage this field, we can attract some very special birds, certainly ones that are synonymous with our landscape. And those are things like curlew, lapwing, skylark, meadow pipit. These are all birds that have declined massively over the last century due to the intensification of agriculture predominantly. Also, the use of pesticides means there's less insects for them to eat. So it's a big kind of problem that we have here in the UK, which is our ground nesting birds. Now, most of the landscape around here is low-lying farmland, so it's basically mown by sheep on a very regular basis. So the sheep are moved around and the grass height never really gets much of a chance to get above an inch or so. Sheep, as I'm sure you are probably all familiar with, are very efficient grazers. So everything from the bird's foot trefoil, self-heal, red clover, daisies, dandelions, all these really good plants that I've spoken about in previous videos, whether it's a nectar lawn or a meadow, they don't get much of a chance to flower because the sheep are so efficient at grazing. It's not their fault, that's just what they're good at. But it means that floral diversity is down and therefore insect diversity is down. Now, why does this affect ground nesting birds, you might ask? Well, ground nesting birds such as the above mentioned ones, so the curlew, lapwing, the skylark and the meadow pipit, they all rely on basically a lack of disturbance. Now, things like the meadow pipit, for example, they come down to use these areas in the winter time. They will probably then head back to the moors where they will breed. But the other mentioned birds will breed in areas like this, so longer grassy areas. So and if of course they're in a field that has sheep are going to disturb the nesting birds. They're going to potentially trample eggs. They have been known to eat the odd egg as well. So sheep are a bad thing for birds because they are going to absolutely put them off. And that's why, for example, in Derbyshire as well, it's a similar scene. There are so many fields that are grazed by sheep. There's a big farming industry in Derbyshire, and it's effectively like having thousands of square miles, or at least hundreds of square miles definitely, of mown lawn. So it's absolutely catastrophic for these birds, and that's why they've moved out of the area. That's why numbers have plummeted so dramatically. So they really need very little disturbance from animals as well as humans. So in this field, we're going to be managing it in a sensitive way. So it's no longer going to be grazed by sheep, by horses, by cattle, and it's going to be left to its own devices to a degree because it still requires some management. Otherwise, in time, it would just scrub up and create habitats for other birds, which is, of course, the plan for parts of this field. Now, we want to create a diverse field when it comes to the habitat. So as well as catering for the above mentioned birds, we're also going to be doing lots of tree planting. So over there you can see the beginnings of what will be another 150 native trees and shrubs put back into this landscape, indigenous to the UK, to help provide more cover, more places for them to nest, and also places for them to feed. So these will be berry producing trees like rowans, which will be great for our thrush species in the winter, in particular things like fieldfares, redwings. So we're going to have a mini woodland area. We're going to have areas that are going to redevelop naturally as scrub, so they'll be left, they'll never be cut. And there's a kestrel just as I'm saying this. That's another species that we want to try and encourage back onto the land. So hopefully we're going to be putting up some boxes for them, a kestrel box, barn owl box, because this rough grassland, as you can see behind me, is a really fantastic habitat for them. That's where they're going to be hunting all year round, 12 months of the year, for the voles and the shrews and the mice that they may come across, or hopefully will come across. So if you've got mown grass, again, there's very little cover for these small mammals, which is obviously what the kestrels are going to be preying on, along with the barn owls, along with tawny owls as well in some of the surrounding woodland. So we're going to be leaving some areas of vegetation uncut so that it is cover all year round for these mammals. And then in the middle, if you have a look over there, you can see there is a mass of hard rush, which is an indicator of damp ground. And for those of you that have been making wildlife ponds in your own gardens and following my techniques, you'll know I talk about hard rush as a really good plant around the margins of a pond because it provides cover all year round. They're evergreen, so they look like this even in the depths of February. It's rather cool today, but they provide cover and shelter all year round for invertebrates, for small mammals, reptiles, amphibians, if they come out on the warmer days that we now are starting to get. So those indicator species are ones that are indicating wet ground, and it is quite boggy back there. So what are we going to be doing? Well, me being me, we're going to be putting in a rather large wildlife pond, so a 20-meter long wildlife pond, to hopefully encourage more invertebrates, more species to drop in. So hopefully we're going to attract things like grey wagtail. We might get the odd sort of oyster catcher coming in from the coast to come and feed around the margins, those invertebrates that you'll get around the damp margins of a pond. So it's really going to provide another essential habitat, obviously great for the dragonflies as well to colonize this area that can then hunt over these longer grassy areas. And then around the pond, we're going to be putting in some meadow areas. As you can imagine, when you're digging a 20-meter long hole, it creates a lot of soil. So a great opportunity for us to play around with those soils and create some additional wildflower habitat, which this site really lacks because it is quite fertile, it's low-lying, and over the years, the vegetation has sort of grown up and rotted over. It's created more fertility, so a lot of the wildflower species have been swamped out. And that's why, for example, next to me and sticking around the site, all around the site, are things like these dock stems, which are great for goldfinches, great for a lot of the finches actually, for getting these little seeds. If I sort of rub my hands along it, you can see just the amount of seeds that come out of one stem of dock. So docks are a great seed source at this time of year, but they're also an indicator of fertile ground again. So that fertility is going to stop us from introducing lots of wildflowers in here at this point in time. So we need to work with those poorer soils to create a better meadow. So we're going to be creating those as well, meadow areas. And then finally, we're going to be creating some kind of wetland scrapes down here as well. Now, a scrape is somewhere that is intentionally designed to dry out in the summer months. So this isn't going to be a full pond. It's going to be sort of divots carved out of the earth, if you like. So temporary ponds, temporary sort of shallow marginal areas where a lot of things like sort of curlews and lapwings will, and particularly the oyster catchers as well, will come to feed around the margins. And one species as well we're looking to attract with habitat like this is the snipe, which has this fantastic flight that it does, this display that I have seen in the North Yorkshire moors when they're displaying to females, and it's sort of a ooh, which is a really strange sound when you hear it. And it's actually, I thought it was the bird creating this noise to begin with, but they fly up in the air and then they sort of dive back down. As they're coming back down, there's two wing feathers that are longer that rub together that create this fantastic sound. So a bit like the grasshopper's legs, if you like. So a really interesting bird, and one that we hope to attract to these kind of wet flushes, because this is perfect habitat for them, where you get this kind of vegetation. The hard rush is creating that cover, Not only that, hopefully we're expecting a few woodcock to be able to pass through here, particularly when we get an influx from the continent in November time. So a lot of this vegetation will provide good cover for them to roost in overnight. Obviously woodcock is a good meal for a fox, so where they are going to land is somewhere where there is cover, like the sedges or the rushes in particular, like I say, behind me. So hopefully you now get an idea of what we're going to do to this site. So a lot of thought has gone into the planning of this site, and there's now a lot of work to do to get it to where it needs to be. But I wanted to just give you an idea of what I'm doing, and this is something that I replicate all over the UK. So if you are looking at creating any areas of land into an oasis for wildlife, then do get in touch. I can help you with the planning and the installation, obviously, of these areas, and they really do work. One site I created back in 2010 in South Lincolnshire now has 31 species of butterfly recorded on the site, and the site is less than an acre, and it was an old potato field. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what can be achieved in the right areas. Obviously it's sort of location specific a lot of the time, so it's important to choose the right plants, the right trees, the right shrubs to create these habitats, and that's what I've spent the last 20 years of my life doing. So do get in touch. Inquiries at hazelwoodlandscapes.com if you're looking for any help with that sort of thing. And if you're looking to create your own habitats for wildlife, obviously do check out the wildyourgarden.com online shop. We've got everything from wildflower plugs, seeds, pond liners, boulders, subsoil, native trees, shrubs, bird boxes, bird food. Just go check it out. There's loads of stuff for you there to help you create these habitats for wildlife. So I hope this video has given you an insight into what we're looking to do here. There will of course be a full video on the transformation of this site in due course. I'm here to do the tree planting over the next few days, and then back again in the summer when hopefully the ground is a little bit drier and I can carry on with the main excavation, so July, August time, to create the wildlife pond, the wetland scrapes, which I'm really looking forward to. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's given you an idea of what I'm doing with this field and the reasons why I'm doing it. And if you've liked the video, please hit that subscribe button. It helps to push these videos all around the world so we can help more people to be encouraged to create more habitats for wildlife, which is of course the aim of this channel, which is nearly now 5 years old. 2020 I started this channel in April, so another month or so and we'll be 5 years old. So thank you to all of you for the support, and thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay wild, and I'll see you all very soon.